beautiful Monday afternoon. I don't know how it is around you guys. It is so nice by me.
It's like 40 and rainy.
Ben says it's 40 and rainy.
November in Ithaca, let me tell you.
I tell you what, this is my first time living outside of New York, besides LA, where I did a semester abroad with the one and only Ben Carlton, who now joins me on the show. Smooth transition. Yes, me. It's really nice here. It says, I think the weather, it says it gets down to like 30, 35, like the lowest, which is beautiful. It's like 60 degrees right now here and sunny. Like it's, and of course I'm just staying inside.
Must be nice.
Of course I'm just staying inside, you know.
And I think I've mentioned this on the show before. I like to spend Monday mornings, like, you know, have my coffee and yogurt outside, sit on the porch, even if it's like a little bit chilly. I don't mind. The cold air kind of wakes me up. Jeremy, it's not Let's Go Giants. Like that win, we'll talk about it in a couple minutes. That win is like actually about as bad a result as we possibly could have asked for as Giants fans.
Before
let me just finish my coffee and my yogurt on the porch. It was just too disgusting this morning for me to like remotely enjoy sitting on the porch. Like windy, rainy. I've got a covered porch. Like I don't normally like get, if it's raining, I can like sit there and not get wet. But it was just like, it's just such a gross day. I was like, I'm having my coffee in my room. I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with this.
I'm sorry, Ben. I feel like we were about to get into sports and that didn't feel right because we got to like differ a little bit. We got to just completely get off topic and then
obviously
throw our show off the rails. I saw this interesting this question. I think it was someone from Barstool asked it. Like, what day of the week's coffee is the best? He said Saturday coffee.
Fall.
I think I'm hesitant to pick any day of the week just because that's like necessary coffee, but I feel like Sunday coffee is
I was literally gonna say either Sunday coffee because it's like, because that's a coffee where I'm like, I'm drinking it not because I'm like, oh my god, it's fucking Monday, I've got to like get up, like, you know, get going with the week. It's like, okay, like I'm waking up hungover, not necessarily ready to attack the day, but like let me get my breakfast, let me get like a big coffee and like settle in for watching football all day. It's
life's hard on a Sunday. Yeah.
Okay, Jeremy, for those of you who don't understand, we've explained this before. We're going live on our Instagram right now. Jeremy Goldstein is one of the optimistic fans I've ever encountered. Stratton's a close second, who's also commenting there. We might as well just start with why it's bad for the Giants to have won this game.
You want to start like in the middle of our slate in the tier that we picked. No one gives a shit about this game.
I'm trying to respond to the fans here.
Hey, keep reel them in.
If the Giants win the NFC East with like 4 or 5 wins, do you not understand how much of a disaster that is for like the future of this team? Daniel Jones is not the franchise quarterback. I'm very confident in telling you that much. This team needs help everywhere. If we end up picking 18th, and what is the worst playoff? Where's the worst playoff team pick? I think it's 18th. 20th.
I think.
The Giants need to be in the business of acquiring elite level talent. Would you love it, Jeremy? Would you love that the Giants win the right to get smoked in the first round of the playoffs? Like, let's keep in mind, like the reason the Giants have looked so good the reason the Giants have looked the best they've looked all season the last 2 weeks is because they played the football team and the Eagles. Like, congratulations. The Giants beat 2 NFC East teams. What, like, that's nothing to like write home about. They're not improving every week, Jeremy. They're not.
Hey, Ben, don't let them reel you in, Ben. Let's stay on topic. Hey, stay on topic.
Look, talk to me next week when the Giants get smoked by, I don't even know who the Giants are playing next week. Let's see.
The Bengals.
Oh, like the Bengals aren't good, but you think Joe Burrow's going to not have a field day?
Ben, I don't want to talk about the Giants in the first 3 minutes of our show.
I'm done.
Don't worry, it's on the rundown. It's there.
Best 2-5 team you've ever seen. Shut up.
All right. We'll start with some good news. It's Kim Ng being hired as the new Marlins GM. A roommate of mine said to me yesterday, if you ever want to lose faith in humanity, just go on like an illegal stream on the chats on the side.
Yeah.
And that was alive and well. And a putback dunk unlike any I have ever seen.
A putback dunk?
Yeah. Was just people saying, why is she hired? What is her resume? And then people started pulling out what her resume was. I had never heard of her before. She worked with the Marlins. She worked with the Yankees and with the Dodgers.
I was like vaguely aware of who she was just because she literally used to work with the Yankees, like a key part of the 3-peat years.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you I knew everything about Kim Ng. I was like literally just vaguely like aware of the name. That's all. It's all I knew before she got hired.
She served as an assistant GM for the Yankees and the Dodgers, like we
98
said.
to 01 with the Yankees.
She's worked with making 8 playoff teams and 3 World Series. I'd say that
3 rings. Like
I'd say
that
a top
level executive.
On
3 World Series winning teams.
It.
Yeah. I spent the last like 10 years working in the league office, I believe. It's encouraging, especially for the Marlins, because they're kind of transitioning from like truly one of the laughing stocks of the league to a team that completely salvaged their season when it looked like they might not even be able to like finish the season last year.
We were like, take them out of the goddamn league.
Literally, Don Mattingly, very deservingly so, won NL Manager of the Year
after throwing out a COVID team out there.
It's not about socially conscious manager of the year. It's about his ability to manage a baseball team.
Hey, I didn't come here to play school, man.
Exactly. Maybe the Marlins are kind of becoming a respectable franchise again. And, I am all for more respectable, like decently well-run teams in Major League Baseball than I am teams that aren't well-run as just a standard point for me.
Oh, it's a good place to start.
Right?
It's funny because, I don't know, rewind like a year. We were like, Jeter has no idea what he's doing. He's literally just doing this so that the Yankees get as many.
Well, it wasn't that Jeter didn't know what he was doing. It was that Jeter was just trying to get to Miami so the Yankees could get Stanton.
And then now, go forward a year, like trades have, resulted in good pieces for them. They're making good moves. Like the overall sentiment.
Did they trade back-to-back NL MVPs?
Yeah. But, that's besides the point. We don't have to mention that. But
no, we don't talk about that one.
But how difficult is it when you're trading players of that caliber that you're going to get a lot of players back to insert into your pipe, and all of those end up working out?
You want to repeat that?
No, I don't want to repeat that because as soon as I said it, I looked down to see your reaction. As soon as you get people to come back into your farm system like
players to insert into your pipe. That's a good one. That is a good one.
You get what I was trying to say. When you have players that can immediately make an impact in your farm system.
Pipeline, is that what you're looking for? There you go.
Yes, a direct pipe to your team. Like when you have players that amount of
that was funny.
Okay, back to what I meant to say. When you have that amount of players that you expect a lot of in terms of coming up into your system, like that's not even the worst I've ever said. I said
I don't know. No, yeah, it's not the worst slip up you've ever had. I don't know. This one caught me.
Yeah, I'd say saying COCK on
you
air.
Just said it. Why did you just spell it out?
I'd rather not say it repeatedly.
I'll quote Matias here. He said,
okay.
You know what the time was?
It was like 6:20, I think.
Like 6 minutes, 15 seconds left on the Gamecock
clock.
Pause.
And I remember just like, and I was really proud of myself because I kind of just, I kept saying it and I was like, Ithaca lined up on their own 43-yard line. It trips to the right, and now they call timeout. And then as soon as I was done talking, you ever seen like the Stephen A. Smith meme for anyone that wasn't, there? I know you were there. Where he just puts his like hand on the window and he's just like, he's drifting out. And you just kept talking. And like, as soon as I said it, I felt you.
Well, because if I didn't keep talking, I would have started laughing.
Yeah. Well, I saw
you were cracking up.
You were on my left and you went. And then Justin Lutz, the SID, shouts out Justin Lutz all the time, obviously. On my right went. And you guys were both just laughing at him, just like, do not look to the side. Do not look to the side.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
I just got a Shams tweet notification of James Harden, the first 3 words. So I had to go check. Trade to the Knicks. I didn't get traded to the Knicks. It's just like it's so annoying when you get those notifications from like Shams, from Waters, just like repeating, like just retweeting like some article about something that's like not even news, just like James Harden, if he were to get traded, would want to go to a contender. Like, really? No
Yeah,
way.
he wants to be on a
That's
contender
crazy.
elsewhere.
All right.
Well,
We can't talk too much NBA right now. We've got a huge week of NBA coverage, NBA draft preview, and NBA trade predictions, talking about why the Knicks are going to win the Eastern Conference. A lot of NBA stuff to get to this week, but that's not where this show is. This is going to be a strict NFL Sunday recap, obviously a little Monday look ahead. But later in the week, tomorrow and Thursday, we got loads and loads of NBA coverage for you guys.
Yeah. That is, it's so hard. I just want to talk about it.
But this is exactly what we just talked about. If it's a good thing we didn't prep any NBA, because otherwise we would just get right into all the NBA stuff we want to talk about. So we're going to exercise the tiniest little bit of restraint and stick to NFL today.
So for week 10, you wrote this on the rundown. You said it's a mid slate. And it was there were good games, and it was super backloaded because the Masters was going on at CBS at the 1:00 hour. And it made sense, and it kind of sucked because there were so many good games towards the end. But I will say the 1:00 games ended up being kind of entertaining, honestly.
Yeah, no, it was a very well balanced NFL Sunday, I would say.
Yeah, it ended up
unfortunately,
pretty well.
I hate when the Giants have a 1:00 because it means I start the day on such a bad note. And by the end of the 1:00 slate, getting into the 4, I'm just either upset because the Giants played like shit, and then maybe they lost the game, which is good long term, or I'm really upset because the Giants actually won and are now a game back from winning the goddamn NFC East. But we'll talk about that when we actually get to the Giants game.
So we'll start with the game of the day. No question about it. Buffalo and Arizona. If you haven't heard by now, Kyler Murray is quite good. DeAndre Hopkins also quite good.
Very talented wide receiver. Definitely not a guy I would trade for a running back.
Yeah. That is
obviously we know Bill O'Brien's a moron at this point.
Yeah.
Entirely unqualified to be an NFL general manager. Just looking every time you see that DeAndre Hopkins trade come up, you're just like, Bill O'Brien really said, you know who I want on my team? David Johnson. You know who I'm going to give up to get this elite running back, game-changing player, a guy that you just need to have on your team? I'm going to trade DeAndre Hopkins for him.
And look, it's not like it does
not make a lick of sense.
And newsflash, if you have a very good young quarterback, or you have a young quarterback you believe in, go get him a good receiver if you can. And it's not fair. And hear me out. Let me finish this because I'm not directly comparing it. It's not fair to say the same thing about the Giants, right? But that's something that they were looking at with the OBJ trade. That's something we were saying, you get a haul back for OBJ, and obviously it's not enough, and it should have been more. But with someone like Daniel Jones, you just go out, you draft your quarterback, who at the time you think is going to be your quarterback of the future. You got to give him
the big difference there, though. I know you're saying it's not quite the same thing. The big difference is at the time, Deshaun Watson is looking like a future MVP candidate.
Yeah, the big difference is that the Giants hadn't done anything at that point.
Exactly.
They made it to the playoffs one time. The Texans were they started off well against the eventual champions, and obviously they fell apart, but it's a good team. That's at the very least, a playoff team, a team that can, if they get hot, can make it deep into the playoffs.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But again, you look back at the way the whole Giants situation worked out, it's as frustrating as it was to trade Odell, it was arguably almost as frustrating to sign him to that type of contract when this team just had so many holes elsewhere. It's even was Odell the clear-cut number one receiver in the NFL at the time? Not really. Definitely in that conversation, one of the 3 or 4 best receivers in the league.
Yep.
But obviously, and again, it's not that he didn't necessarily deserve that type of contract, but just it didn't make a whole lot of sense for the Giants to commit that type of money to a position that's not really a true impact position. It looks good. It looks really good when it works out, but obviously it didn't work out for the Giants. I don't know why we're talking about the Giants again. The question that I have been starting to ask myself, kind of started asking it after Kyler beat the Seahawks in overtime.
The answer is yes.
That was probably a little preemptive.
Yeah.
When does the Kyler Murray MVP conversation start? And should it already be started? I think
absolutely.
It should. You just look at the Vegas numbers here. Preseason, I don't know when exactly this, preseason, when these preseason odds are from. plus 2,200 according to Vegas for Kyler for MVP. Currently just plus 700.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those odds are juicy, one might say.
You jump on that the same way you would have jumped on. I think the Giants were like a plus 2,000 to win the division like 2 weeks ago, and you're like, dude, just throw $5 on it. Honestly, like
exactly. I was texting Stratton today, and I was like, what odds can you get on Kyler for MVP right now? Like, do I necessarily think all right? So I put that in the rundown. I was kind of doing a little research after the fact to see like how far off is he. Look, he's plus 700 for a reason. He's not quite the MVP, but we've been talking all year long about Russ winning MVP, and he was our prediction preseason, and so much of it is narrative based. Russell Wilson comes in with a Seahawks team with a terrible defense where he's got to consistently throw the ball and move the ball to keep the Seahawks winning games. All of a sudden, Russell Wilson is not playing well. Shams Charania just tweeted the Orlando.
What?
Shams just tweeted the Orlando.
Okay. So they're gonna.
I guess they're doing something. Unless no, that just says the Orlando.
Okay. Okay. See, like we can't lie and say we're not going to talk any basketball because we have our bombs on, our Shams bombs, our Woj bombs on.
And our John Salerno bombs.
And our John Salerno bombs. On the Kyler front, I mean, he's still like 10th in touchdowns. He's got a 17-8 touchdown rate. Like Patrick Mahomes still has a 25-1. I think Aaron Rodgers has something like 26.
Hold on, I've got him. Yeah, Rodgers is at. Hold on, where are they? Let's scroll back up here. All right, so Wilson's at 28 touchdowns, 10 picks. Rodgers is 26-3. Patty was 25-1, which is absurd. Let me just say.
I mean, even Josh Allen, 21-7. Like he still has a long ways to go, but Kyler Murray has entered the chat.
But as we talked about last week, you compare Kyler's current season to Lamar's MVP season from just last year. Lamar is on pace to put up Kyler's on pace to put up better numbers than Lamar did last year. He's on pace currently. Again, this is all on pace. These are not what his numbers are actually at.
Not saying he's going to.
On pace for the first ever 4,000 yard, 1,000 yard, 4,000 passing, 1,000 yard rushing season. He's got 27 total touchdowns right now. Orlando signed 2019 number 16 overall pick Chuma Okeke to his rookie contract. That's disappointing. Cardinals are leading the NFL in yards per game. They're first in the toughest division in football right now. If Kyler keeps this up and if he can especially cut down on the turnovers, that's kind of why I want to hop on these Kyler plus 700 odds now, because I think it's only going to get closer and closer and closer between him and Mahomes.
Absolutely. I'm not worried about Buffalo after this loss, because I mean that's a miraculous play to lose. I think very much I'm taking more away from this from the Arizona side than I am the Buffalo one, because Arizona, we said going into this week, was we think they're a legit, like not a contender. We think they're a pretender. They're kind of that tier below. They can, make some noise. They are most certainly in that tier.
They're leading the hardest division in football right now. How could you look at them as anything other than a legitimate contender?
Yeah.
Are they top tier, like elite NFL team? Not yet. Are they trending in that direction? I'd say so. Yeah.
And I mean, I still feel good about the Bills winning the division, but don't look now, man. You're a game ahead of Miami.
Yeah. Again, you talk about how it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world for Buffalo. I thought Buffalo did a great job, especially. And obviously you're playing Arizona. Your two main worries on the Cardinals offense, Kyler and D-Hop. D-Hop had a solid game before that Hail Mary, 6 receptions for like 80 something yards, no touchdowns. If you can hold D-Hop to that, you're very happy.
And with Tre'Davious White is good, but he's not.
But also D-Hop is that. DeAndre Hopkins is that good where keeping him out of the end zone is your main goal. Like you'll give up catches, you'll give up yards. If you can keep out of the end zone, which they did for the first 59 minutes and 58 seconds of the game, you're pretty happy. Josh Allen had another bounce back performance after that miserable 3 games. Is miserable too strong a word there?
No, the Seahawks. Yeah, I remember the Seahawks game. He absolutely lit him on fire.
True. Well, I'm talking about the 3
before that. Yeah.
I'm saying he's continuing his return back to the Josh Allen until the first few weeks of the year. Though I think that really does kind of reflect Josh Allen in his 3rd season pretty damn well.
Yeah.
Started off the season real hot, coming off his training camp, all his offseason work, all that. His changes are fresh on his mind. But it's tough to keep your changes, your offseason changes implemented when you get into the full season. You got to maintain your body. You're banged up. I think it's pretty indicative of Josh Allen as a player right now that he's still a little bit streaky.
Yeah. We were talking about turnovers with them. I think that's a perfect transition into our next game because this is someone that we had both picked.
Last point on the Seahawks or the Bills Cardinals game. Mm-hmm. DeAndre Hopkins just.
What more do you want to say?
Oh my God.
that was reminiscent. That was reminiscent of Calvin Johnson's Hail Mary catch against the Bengals when he was triple covered.
Well, I saw a great picture on Twitter. It was from like the back of the end zone where you could see it was like a still shot, just like cropped from like probably like everyone's elbows up.
Yeah.
And it's just you see one DeAndre Hopkins Jordan brand
glove
above everybody
big
else hand on the ball. And
like
someone
Adidas,
posted it.
Nike.
Someone was like, that's an ad for Jordan right there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's literally like just jump. Like that easy. There's a reason I'm not working in that because I was
going to say that sounds real similar to another catchphrase.
Well, exactly. That's why.
There's a reason Matias is not a PR expert right now.
Man, that's a Jumpman ad just waiting to be written.
But yeah, DeAndre Hopkins. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, crazy. Let's move on to our next game, which is Seattle and the Rams. Rams defeat Seattle 23-16. Again, Seattle doesn't look good, but the biggest thing we take away from this is Russell Wilson. This is someone who we praised, and for good reason, coming into the season because takes care of the ball.
For good reason up until like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Let me read you.
Up to 2 weeks ago, I think you and I were both feeling pretty damn good about calling Russell Wilson the MVP preseason.
I think basically everyone was. He was the favorite at that point. Let me read you a couple of stats I found from Russell Wilson.
Seahawks fans, I don't know if you're going to want to listen to this.
Yeah. This is not good. Russell Wilson is someone who takes care of the ball a lot. He's second in the league in picks. He has the most third down turnovers in the NFL with 8. With all the sacks he has taken, which he's usually pretty good with throwing the ball away as well. He's one of the worst third down quarterbacks in the league.
Which just doesn't even make sense.
On top of that,
it goes against everything I think I know about football.
On top of that, Russell Wilson, one of his calling cards, one of the things that make him elite is that he takes care of the football. You can't just throw the football away. He has
that was the book on Russell
turnovers.
Wilson the previous two, 3, maybe 4 seasons was that he didn't take enough risks, that he was so conservative with the ball. And in some ways that hurt. Some of that is the Seahawks were so committed to the run 2 or 3 years ago. But that was kind of I think the fair knock on him was that he didn't take enough shots. And the numbers at the time indicated that he was great at throwing the ball into tight windows.
Now,
he just didn't do it enough.
13 turnovers in 9 games. 10 of them have come in their 3 losses.
Yeah, that's kind of like a chicken or the egg type of stat.
Yeah.
Are they losing because Russell Wilson is turning the ball over, or are they losing? Or is Russell Wilson turning the ball over and then that's why they're losing?
It's
the type of thing where I'd really have to have the exact breakdown of every interception, charted out in front of me. Right
off the top of my head, right? That Cardinals game, he had that really ugly turnover. His third interception.
Had a really ugly one yesterday too.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that his whatever bullshit he tried to pull on the run there. Was that third quarter?
Yeah. That was
I watched that over 4 times this morning when I was working on the rundown. I'm just like, what the hell is he trying to do?
It's unusual because you talk about he takes risks now, but they're not just crazy risks. There's a reason between a risk that has a chance to be a big play and a risk that is, bro, what are you doing?
To a certain degree, Russell Wilson is very much on that tier of guys like Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers.
Throw whatever you want. Type thing.
Go for it. Take the shot. Absolutely go for it.
Yeah.
But these are just so ugly, such awfully timed. Obviously, no interceptions, well timed, but just back-breaking interceptions. And it's where you watch it over and over again. And I'm not an NFL coach. I don't really know what I'm looking at, other than what I might see in a breakdown video. Who on that third quarter pick, he's breaking every rule of quarterbacking on the run.
You had the first down right in front of you.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's just hard to wrap my head around.
A couple other things from this game. I mean, Seahawks are struggling from not having their top two running backs, and their Alex Collins as their starting running back is never a good sign for you.
Like,
we said on the show, like there are some things that the Rams can do that might give them trouble. With the really good pass rush they have a true number one corner in Jalen Ramsey.
I absolutely locked up DK Metcalf.
Yeah,
4 targets, none through the third quarter.
Yeah, finished 2 for 28 on 4 targets. Like that's
a win.
That is a true number one shutdown corner right there.
And I've got to, I feel like it was maybe week 4, week 5, we were talking about like, is Jalen Ramsey that type of shutdown corner?
Well, we had the conversation after he got the huge extension. And I remember something you said, which I won't bring up.
I can go for it. I said he wasn't, he hadn't proven himself as that like true, I say Revis-esque. I'm not saying he's Darrelle Revis, but that true like wipeout lockdown number one corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No disrespect to Jalen Ramsey. I was never saying he was a bad defensive back. He just, up until this point, he's been more of kind of like a hybrid creative playmaking piece as opposed to like that guy who travels with the DK Metcalfs, the D Hops, those receivers of the world. But he's proven me damn wrong.
Yeah, no, that he has. Last thing on them is time to worry about the Hawks, right? Like, yes, I think so. I not worried like they're not going to make the playoffs, but like
not super worried. But like you, all of a sudden you go from Seahawks looking like a lock
like
to win the
concern,
division.
like kind of lowering your glasses type of thing. Like this is interesting.
I mean, all of a sudden every team in the NFC West is 6-3, and then you've got the Niners.
Yeah,
is it like panic mode? No. I would be more than a little concerned if I was Seattle.
Yeah.
Gun to your head right now, who wins the division?
I still pick Seattle. Without looking at schedules, I still pick Seattle.
When do the Cards and Seahawks play again?
Probably, I think soon. I think really soon.
Well, because I know the NFL tried to make Week 17 all divisional.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm done. They play this Thursday, which will actually be a great game.
Right. They do.
That would be a fun game.
I mean, watch. Seahawks lose that game. Seahawks lose that game. We have a much different conversation.
Seattle's got a real interesting schedule here. The rest of the way.
Got?
At home versus the Cardinals on Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Must-win game.
In Philly Monday night. That's a dub.
That's low-key a trap game. Like, I know Philly's bad, but like
Philly is bad. Let's remember who Philly lost to this week.
Yeah.
Philly's really bad. Guess who they play the next week? The Giants. That's another win. Although apparently the Giants are the best 2-17 that we've ever fucking seen.
I believe it.
Drives me up a wall. Then after the Giants, guess who they play?
Who?
What's the easiest win in the NFL right now?
Jets.
Yep.
Oh, right. I'm going to pick them for my survivor pool that week. I remember.
Then they go Washington. Then the last 2 weeks of the season, LA and San Fran.
Got to get their shit together in division. Like,
what kind of concerns me here is that the Seahawks played 4 god-awful teams and then close against the Rams and another not great team against the Niners in week 17, but a team that will absolutely be fired up to really ruin your playoff shot.
And again, that's a bad team that will not roll over.
Also, who plays corner for the Niners these days?
Oh, I knew it. I think they have one guy who's not hurt.
You're not picking it up, are you?
No.
Richard Sherman.
Well, he's been hurt. I don't think he's played yet.
I thought he was like week to week.
I don't think he's played yet this season.
If Richard Sherman's playing week 17, talking about a revenge game.
Yeah. Richard Sherman just starts swinging at everyone.
I think that's a point being long point boiled down. Seahawks are in a pretty solid position where they might lose to the Cardinals again, but then they could very easily rattle off 5 of their last 6 games for wins.
Yeah. We've gone through the majority of the really good games, so we'll start going through these a little more, a little quicker. Last game on really good games. Yep. Indy and Tennessee, Indy winning 34-17. Both teams now 6-3. Indy has that tiebreaker, obviously. It's been a while since that game. It was on Thursday, but that was a complete Colts victory. They won in all three phases of football. I have to, come on.
Yeah.
You know, they have playmakers that can take the top off the defense.
Love it.
All the good stuff. And what we said was going to be the key to every Colts game is exactly what happened. It's as comfortable as you can keep Phillip Rivers. He was comfortable in the pocket, and he played really well against Indy. Tennessee makes their pressure in the interior of the line, and that just so happens to be the best part of the line for the Colts. I don't think the Colts are a 17-point better team than Tennessee. They'll probably split the next game, but this was really good to see from the Colts.
It's the type of look, I know one of us here picked the Colts to win the division, and it wasn't me. Is Phillip Rivers really like that type of quarterback anymore? That's my question every time I see anything about will Indy make the playoffs? What can Indy make any noise in the playoffs? Mm-hmm. What type of quarterback is Phillip Rivers these days? Realistically, is he anything better than just kind of like a league average, like Ryan Tannehill type of guy?
I don't really know.
Is Ryan Tannehill above average?
I'd say.
Is Ryan Tannehill going to win you games if you need a quarterback to win you a game? You want Ryan Tannehill? Do you want Phillip Rivers doing that? No. I don't. I'll answer my own question. I don't want Phillip Rivers.
I'm also
quarterback with the game on the line.
I'm also not. I never said that Phillip Rivers is going to win you a game.
I'm not saying, but I mean, if you're talking about them winning the division, that means you're talking about them making the playoffs.
I mean, Phillip Rivers, when you can keep a good pocket against him and you allow him to operate, that's a quarterback that can get you 300 yards and get you like a 3-to-1 touchdown ratio, right? Like I'm looking at like their wins, right? I haven't pulled up. Against Tennessee, 29 of 39, 308 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions, right? Nothing crazy there. Win against Detroit, 23 of 33 with 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The big thing for him is not throwing any interceptions. I mean, you look at their comeback.
Well, he's thrown 7 this year, so.
Yeah. Well, okay, but he's
thrown a lot. Pick a game.
Yeah, well, you know who's thrown, 10? Russell Wilson. Like,
Russell Wilson's got a lot more leeway to throw picks than Phillip Rivers does in my book.
He's still got 11 touchdowns on the season. All I'm saying is if you can keep
Are you saying that's good?
No.
11 touchdowns in 9 games? That's not good.
That's not very good. But
what really I'm saying, bad, actually.
What I'm saying is Phillip Rivers is still a serviceable enough quarterback. You keep a clean pocket around him. They have enough talent on that team that they can scare some people. I don't think they're gonna. I didn't pick them to make it to the conference matchup. I think I had them losing in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. But
Phillip Rivers does not worry me at all.
Fair, but at least he probably won't worry you the other way. Yeah, I have the Titans actually beating the Colts in the first round.
That'd be a fun matchup.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I guess that is possible, technically, yeah.
2 very evenly matched teams. Like, it was a fun matchup.
That's what we saw on Thursday.
Yeah. I'm so glad to hear that you enjoyed Thursday Night Football, Ben.
Did I say I enjoyed it or did I say I watched it?
Yeah, fair enough. Some more matchups to watch. A lot of these came in the 1 o'clock hour. Not all of them. But, surprisingly entertaining. Panthers, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay just ran all over them, 46-23, the final score. Carolina
98 of those yards came on 1 run from Ronald Jones.
Look, Tampa Bay came out and they did what they had to do. I think Carolina is, they're not a terrible 3-6 team coming into this. Now
are they the best 3-7 team we've ever seen?
Ridiculous.
Like, what type of comment is that?
What
type of comment is we're the best 2-7 team people have ever seen?
We'll get there.
You're 2-7. That's not good. There's nothing about that that's good.
God. Really clean game plan for the Bucks. They did everything right. The GOAT Ali Marpet, classic D3 player, shout out.
Gang.
He didn't play.
And Hobart's a bunch of frauds, but whatever.
Yeah, true. Worrisome that their offensive line couldn't hold up against the Saints, which again, that's a really good pass rush unit. But their offense went completely berserk.
And also, we talked about this after the game last week. Like, when you get stomped that badly the way the Bucks did, like you throw it out.
Yeah, you throw it out. You're like, we don't even have to look at that.
Do you even look at the tape in that type of game? I don't know if you do. It's like, obviously you look at some of it, but it's like it comes with a huge caveat of like, you know what, guys, this was an ugly game. Yeah. You're better than 38-3. Like it's a type of game where you look at some mistakes and you say, you know what, you weren't ready. It's that simple.
No. I'll read you some offensive stats for Tampa Bay, which no surprise because I mean they hung 46 on Carolina. But Brady 28 of 39, 341 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, only sacked once, which is the big one. I think he's been the worst quarterback when faced with pressure this season. No
that
surprise.
Doesn't surprise me.
I think I saw a stat. It was like coming off of 3 interception games or something like that. Brady is like 12 touchdowns, no interceptions. I think it's only happened twice in his career.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many times Brady thrown 3 picks?
I think that was the last time. So I don't know if that stat's right because I think the last time was in like 2002.
Are you trying to recall some random stat you saw on Twitter like a half ago?
Yeah. Nice. Other lines. Ronald Jones.
Never been me. I've never tried to do that.
Huge 98-yard run, 23 rushes, 192 yards, and a touchdown. He's been fantastic this season. And then the receiving core.
Of course, the week I finally benched Mike Evans in fantasy.
Yeah.
Didn't end up hurting me. I still won my matchup there. But I finally benched Mike Evans because he hadn't been doing jack shit for me.
Godwin, 6 receptions, 92 yards. Evans, 6 reception, 77 yards, a touchdown. Big one here. AB, 7 catches for 69 yards. Gronk, 2 for 51 and a touchdown. Brate, excuse me. 3 for 30.
The boy.
3 for 31 and a touchdown. I mean, he has enough weapons around him. He can spread it around like this. Like, it is tough to defend this offense if they can protect Brady. Like, this offense does not have holes in it.
We had our concerns about how the Brady Evans connection was going to work out at the beginning of the season because obviously Mike Evans is just like a deep threat wide receiver. He's one of the most complete receivers in the game. I mean, he's a freak. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he thrives in, as a deep threat, as that type of guy. And Brady is, especially the last 2-3 seasons, Brady's not the type of guy that's going to be taking a lot of deep shots down the field. If Brady and Evans can find whatever connection they had working today moving forward this season, that adds such a layer to that Bucs offense.
Hey, don't forget Scotty Miller, too.
I can forget Scotty Miller, actually.
Okay.
That.
Next game, Miami and the Chargers. This was a good team and a bad team, or a decent to bad team with a bad record. It was close. It was an 8-point victory. It came close at the end. The GOAT, obviously, Salvin
Ahmed.
Was it Ahmed?
It's Ahmed. I checked.
I thought they said I could have swore they said Ahmed.
It's spelled AH. Maybe it is pronounced Ahmed. I'm not sure.
I could have swore I heard them say Ahmed like once or twice, and then Ahmed the other ones.
They still call him Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or they call him like Hilaire.
Yeah,
they call him Hilaire and it's Hilaire, or it's Hilaire and they call him Hilaire.
No, it's Hilaire or it's Hilaire.
Whichever way, they were doing it wrong the first 5 weeks of the season. Which, total sidebar. How the fuck are you a professional broadcaster? You get a dude's name wrong.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And there's a video of him saying it. And I remember Steve Levy, who I love the new Monday Night Football booth. I think it works really well. And he just kept going, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I think Joe Buck was saying it too on a Sunday night game.
Everyone was like, bro, why are you pronouncing it like that? And then they showed the video where he says that's how you pronounce it. And it's like, okay, fair.
Yeah.
Takeaways from this game.
Brian Flores. That's my single biggest takeaway from this game.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Brian Flores was really on to something. After the last season, all the offseason writing about the Dolphins was like, all right, they were still bad. They don't have a whole lot around them, but damn, Brian Flores looks like he knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Second in the AFC East, 7 wins now, or 6 wins. Yeah. Brian Flores, he wasn't coach of the year last year, was he?
No, they won 4 games.
Is he in that conversation this year?
I'd say so. I'd say absolutely.
I don't know how he couldn't be.
With the talent this roster has, I mean, they're good, but let's not act like they're a talented roster that we just thought wouldn't come together. They don't have a lot of talent on that.
They have a lot of young, good pieces, but it was a question about how can you work and improve on an encouraging but ultimately unsuccessful season last year.
And their defense is legit. Not only is their defense legit, they've shown that Tua doesn't have to do that much. And he's certainly capable of doing it because he had himself a really clean game. But it's a defense that's been winning them the majority of these games.
Again, I'd say that's a lot of credit to Brian Flores for not asking too much out of Tua yet. He's coming out on his 4th career NFL start. You can't be asking him, especially off his injuries last year at Bama. You can't be asking him to come out and throw the ball 50 times a game the way the Bengals are asking Joe Burrow to do. I mean,
Mhm.
It's working. But there's also a reason Joe Burrow went first overall and Tua didn't.
Yeah.
I think even if Tua was healthy, Burrow probably goes first overall.
Yeah.
It's the type of thing where like you never know. You can't really play that game.
Yeah. But
I think
you do
realistically,
what you
Burrow
gotta
probably
do.
goes first overall if Tua is healthy.
Love to see Brian Flores, expatriate, joining a long lines of Bill Belichick disciples that have worked out really well when they take a
Specifically
head
defensive
coaching job.
coordinators.
Yeah, that's never not worked out, right?
No.
I saw this hilarious tweet. It was like, well, I think it's safe to say that Matt Patricia was not the reason for the Patriots dynasty.
No.
But I mean, yeah. Speaking of the Patriots dynasty, alive and well again. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
The Patriots come out and stun Baltimore 23-17. We had talked about this last week. We were like, okay, this is Bill Belichick against, a really good young quarterback. That's always, that should be scary for Ravens fans. But at the end of the day, the Ravens are a very good football team. The Patriots are not a good football team. I'd say the Patriots are in that tier with the Niners that are like, they're not good. They're probably not going to make the playoffs, but like they're not going to roll over. Like it is not going to be a blowout.
I mean, did the Niners really not roll over against the Saints? We'll save that for when we get to that game.
But like
first of all, we have to discuss why the Ravens lost this game. It comes down to one thing and one thing only.
What is that?
Bill Belichick sacrificing children to turn a goddamn hurricane the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter where the Ravens are trying to engineer a game-winning drive.
And I don't know if you saw, but literally 5 minutes after the game had ended, clear skies.
Like, you're telling me there's no sorcery, there's no voodoo, there's no nothing going on there.
You love to see it.
I mean, like, it was pouring those last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. Like
the last drive, you couldn't see the screen.
No, it was so bad. Like it's not Fox. NBC. I was like, who does Sunday Night Football? You could like fully hear the wind, like fucking with the NBC mics. Like it was a full blown storm the last 2 minutes. Like, and as much as obviously I'm not a huge Patriots fan. If you guys couldn't tell by now,
really,
like you almost can't. It's disappointing because I think the way the Ravens were playing in the second half, the way they were slowly starting to figure out this Pats defense, I think they could have done a lot more with those last 2 minutes if it wasn't blowing 40 miles an hour in a driving rain that you couldn't see through.
But it was. Let's also not act like it wasn't terrible conditions the whole game too. Obviously, it was a monsoon.
Well, it went from like bad conditions, but it's still football
to basically unplayable.
Yeah, exactly.
To like if this wasn't in the fourth quarter, they might call it right now or delay it. No, not call. I mean like delay it or something until like a couple. If they knew it was going to clear up in like 10 minutes, they might just stop it right there for a little bit. Look, I mean,
anyways,
we've had this conversation before. I don't think this is the nail in the coffin for the Ravens can't win in prime time and they can't win when they're behind, but like this is a conversation we have to have.
Well, what I was talking to Josh about yesterday actually is I think the Ravens should have been a little bit more aggressive and maybe trying to get like a Will Fuller or some other the Ravens need a number one receiver is basically what I'm trying to get at here. I mean, Marquise is really good.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble if Will Fuller's going to be your number one receiver usually. But
would he not be the number one receiver on the Ravens?
I guess it'd probably be he's better than Hollywood. Hollywood hasn't done anything this
season. Been doing anything this season. Exactly. Maybe not
exactly. Why have soldiers? You're not going to use them.
That was a great tweet. The Ravens need to go out and get Lamar Jackson a weapon in the passing game. I love Mark Andrews. Do you want him to be your top option? I don't think so. Do you want
himself a hell of a game, but
he's not a game changer. He's a guy that I think excels in his role that he's asked to do. That's all you can ask of a player. I don't know what the free agent class looks like this offseason, but I would imagine the Ravens are going to be pretty active there.
Yeah.
Clearly they need something else in the passing game. Like Jim Harbaugh and the Ravens offense is so good at creating open throws for Lamar. But sometimes you need a guy that can go get a 50-50 ball, go make something happen, create separation. That's not just Jim Harbaugh and the Ravens scheming a 30-yard window for Lamar to throw a bomb into.
Yeah. I mean, look,
also Lamar is still improving. I feel like I feel like myself included. Sometimes I'm like, oh, the book's written on Lamar. I'm like, This is his third season in the
Third
NFL.
year, yeah.
Like he's only going to get better.
Yeah. A lot of it is just the simple things of like reading safeties and reading defenses. Like he had the perfect throw to Willie Snead. Like I'm not saying that's something he didn't do last year because he did do it, but like
He won the
that
MVP
is a
for
good
reason.
sign. Yeah, there's a good sign as a pocket passer. And again, he doesn't have good targets. And I don't want to make excuses for him because they should be better.
Yeah.
Last point
if
on
we're
this.
talking about why they're not winning games, we feel like they should. I think a big part of that is they don't have that.
Their offense hasn't been good.
I'm not even saying you need an elite wide receiver. You don't need like a Devontae Adams. You don't need a Julio Jones type of guy.
Hard to get that, yeah.
I'm saying you need a guy who's like a clear-cut number one receiver.
Clear-cut number one receiver, like Jacoby Myers, you know?
Right.
I'm all aboard the hype train, by the way. Him and Damian Harris, like choo-choo, hop aboard.
Damian Harris, I'm about.
Yeah, I coming into this season, they were saying that was the running back to own, and I loved how clowned I got in our fantasy league for drafting him in like the last round. And then he went on the IR.
You deserve it. Like
when he went on the IR, like
what Pats running back should you ever draft? When was the last time a Pats running back was fantasy worthy?
I love Rex Burkhead.
Did you name your team after him though?
No, well, you had him.
I didn't. I've never had him. That's just too good a name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't think we learned. I don't want to say we didn't learn anything about the Patriots, but it confirmed what I thought at least. And this was maybe me being a little optimistic because I was a Patriots fan. Was
just maybe
they're not a good team again, but they're not a team that's going to roll over. And you're going to have to work for a win against them.
Yeah, I agree.
The only outlier really there is the Niners game, which was awful. But other than that, like, you know, they barely lost to a bad Broncos team coming off of like a COVID completely like ridden week.
Yeah.
They gave the Chiefs a lot of issues up until like the fourth quarter without their starting quarterback. Like this is a team that plays teams hard, but then unfortunately you need a game winning.
It's just a talent issue. Like the Pats don't have anyone like.
I remember
of the year, Cam Newton looked like he was back to Cam Newton, and then it's like, oh wait, no, Cam Newton still can't throw the ball consistently. Crazy. It's almost like we knew that. It's almost like we knew that Cam Newton couldn't throw the ball consistently.
There are 8 players on the COVID list. Like we got to remember that too.
Excuses.
Yeah, whatever. Next game, we'll start running through these because there's just a little less to talk about. San Francisco losing to New Orleans 27-13. It wasn't a blowout, but
it wasn't a blowout. No. But I mean, we got into this last week about like, how well coached how much does a well coached team mean when they're just on their
there's nothing team? There. Yeah.
There's nothing the Niners can do. Like, did they get, steamrolled 38-3 like the Bucs did 2 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
But this Niners team, they have nobody. Like they're so. And I think a big reason for the Niners' success, especially offensively last year, wasn't the individual skill of any one person on that offense. It was the fact that they had so many guys that were so versatile. When you take every single one of those guys away, like what do you expect your offense to do?
Yeah, and there's not much there.
Like they're just. I said it last week. I'll say it again. This is the C team Niners. Like they just don't. It's barely like an NFL quality roster. These are practice squad guys playing 3-4 like depth chart spots ahead of where you would want to have them.
Yeah. The question, there's not much to discuss for the Niners. It's for the Saints. Finally rounding into form with Michael Thomas back. In the rundown we had put, because it was Jameis Winston time.
Obviously.
We had put, potential potential for Drew Brees to miss time. I'll read you now a tweet from Ian Rappaport. Drew Brees has been battling injuries for several weeks. He entered the game with at least one cracked rib, now has multiple breaks along with a lung issue.
Collapsed lung.
Yeah. I'm told injured, which is fairly common when you have a broken rib, but again,
that's Tyrod Taylor.
I'm told injured reserve is not being discussed. That would mean he'd be out for at least 3 games. So they think he can come back in the next 3 games because that would clear up a roster spot. If not, but I mean, first of all, hats off to Drew Brees because he finished that series off with multiple broken ribs, but also, again, it just becomes for the Saints.
He must have been. I don't know if you saw Sean Payton's remarks after the game. He said he had never seen Drew Brees like ask to be taken out of the game.
Yeah.
That's like
You have multiple
he's
broken
got.
ribs.
Well, if he, I don't know when exactly the lung collapsed, for lack of a better term, but I've got to imagine between the pain and probably having difficulty breathing, Drew Brees is out there and he's just like, I can't even try to make this happen.
Bro, I don't think something's right now.
Exactly. Like, yeah, literally. And he came up to Sean Payton and was like, I can't.
He might have just been like, "Hey, Sean, I can't really breathe right now." And he's like, "Get your ass back out there." Again, it becomes for the Saints, like just staying afloat until everyone's healthy, which, thankfully for them, they don't have, like chemistry issues. Yeah. Last game, we discussed this a lot last time. We don't really have much to discuss about. Monday Night Football, Minnesota coming in at 3-5.
I thought you were getting into the Giants. I'll save my disappointed look for another 30 seconds.
Minnesota coming in at 3-5, Chicago at 5-4. Really, the only change that's happened is that Allen Robinson is questionable going into the game. They have their bye week next week, so it's possible they, err on the side of caution, but also
the Bears should need to win this game. It depends what the Bears want to do. If the Bears have any shot at trying to like keep pace in the division and grab a wild card spot, I would imagine they probably play Allen Robinson. And have you heard anything today? I've still seen him as questionable.
I think it's just going to be a game time decision.
Yeah.
Coming from Stratton, this was the over-under for Dalvin Cook, 86 yards rushing.
Over.
You
could have said any number there, and I probably would have said over.
I'm hesitant just because I think the Bears are just going to be like, well, fuck, the only thing we have to stop on offense is the run.
All right, but you're the one who put this stat in yourself. Dalvin Cook versus an 8 or more man box this season. According to PFF, he's the 90.5 grade. That's the best since Adrian Peterson's MVP season in 2012. I mean,
yeah, you make a good point there.
That you put in.
I know you're okay. Other than this Giants game, there's not that much to discuss. So we'll go into this Giants game. I know your answer to this. I'm going to ask it anyway. You beat the Eagles by 10, 27-17. Now you're 3-7. The Eagles 3-5-1. How do you balance winning with a young core, which obviously always encouraging when you win with a young core, but a young core that is not your future, and winning 5 games in any other year would mean you just don't have a great draft pick. This year, it could mean
winning 5 games puts us in the goddamn playoffs.
This year puts you in the 20s.
Yeah. Winning the NFC East would be the worst thing the Giants have done in the last 10 years. I'm serious. Like, watch the game against the Patriots. And that's all you need to know about why this Giants team should not be looking to win the division. Let's just talk about Daniel Jones for one. Against the Pats.
The Giants.
Excuse me?
You're saying talk about the Giants game against the Patriots?
Yeah. It's from 2 weeks ago where they almost beat the Patriots.
I want you to think about
or the Bucks. Jesus, I'm so.
I was like, I know why you're saying that, but I was.
Oh wow, I've done that a few times, like talking to my friends.
It took you a long time too.
In case you hadn't realized, Tom Brady's on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now. I just wanted to remind you of that. The Giants-Bucks game from 2 weeks ago, where the Giants almost beat Brady and the Patriots. Daniel Jones had like 5 touchdown passes. That was intentional.
Okay. I don't know, dude. It took you like 10 seconds to remember.
I stared right at you as I said it. Anyways, Daniel Jones missed no less than 5 touchdowns that game. Like the Giants could have smoked the Bucks that game, but they didn't because Daniel Jones sucks. He is not good. This is the first time he's ever had back-to-back games without a giveaway. First time in his goddamn career.
Impressive.
His start last week was his second career start with no giveaways, and both of them were against, well, one of them was against the football team. One of them was against the other team that used to play in Washington. Daniel Jones isn't it, guys. Like, I don't know how I could possibly Strat, don't tell me that he's 2-0 in his last 2 games. Yeah, it's the NFC East. Like a win over the NFC East is meaningless. It is meaningless. It's the worst division in football. Like the Giants need so much help in so many spots. Picking 20th and sacrificing any ability to land like an elite game-changing player. What is it worth? Making the playoffs so we can get stomped by some random wildcard team? Like what? Like literally look at the NFL and someone tell me in the comments, comment on the Spotify page, send me a goddamn letter. Tell me who the Giants are better than out of the NFC East. It's nobody. There's not a team in the NFL that I think the Giants. I think Giants-Jags would be a hell of a Thursday night game.
Oh God,
I'm serious.
Do they play this week?
No, they don't. They don't play.
Okay.
Giants-Jags is a great Thursday night game. The Giants apparently aren't even the worst team in the NFC East, which is not saying a goddamn thing.
One of the best teams. Actually.
We're only a game back from the division lead. The Giants can't win the NFC East. Like, that would set this franchise back so far. The only way I want the Giants to win the NFC East is if somehow we go like fucking 9-7.
Yeah, that's encouraging.
That's encouraging. But if we winning the NFC East at 5-11, at 6-10, that does not help anybody. Yeah. So Dave Gettleman can draft another goddamn interior defensive lineman.
It's important. It's important to remember that with the draft order, it's by standing. It's not by record. So if the Giants,
that's what I'm saying. If Giants win the division,
because I saw a couple of tweets. It was like I saw a couple of tweets. It's like the Giants might win the division and also pick like 10th.
No,
not
how it works.
They pick like 20th or something like that. Let's just run through the rest of these games. Just one thought on them. Washington loses to Detroit 30-27. This was one of those games where we were literally no one gives a shit about it, and it ended up being a really good game. Yeah,
I just love watching. Realistically, I wish Washington would have won, so the Giants wouldn't be alone for second. It is also kind of fun watching Washington blow a lead. Yeah. That's the worst part. Is I love watching all these NFC East teams lose.
Washington didn't blow a lead. They stormed back.
Duh.
They were down 7-3.
Watching them lose in the last second is what I
down 17-3. Alex Smith obviously having to throw the ball around everywhere. Went 38 of 55 with 390 yards. That's not quite an Alex Smith line just because there's too many yards there for him.
Way too many yards.
But classic throwing for 300 yards with no touchdowns.
400 yards.
Yeah, basically. Anything else?
4 than 3.
Low key, Detroit.
Name the comeback award, the Alex Smith award. Call it a day.
100%. Low key, Detroit 4-5.
Low key.
Lowest of keys. Denver got walloped by Vegas 37-12. I don't think Denver's a terrible team, but Vegas just keeps taking care of business.
I think
a solid team.
The same way I was talking about the Bills kind of being almost, or at least Josh Allen in particular, almost exactly what we expected, which was streaky, but still needs some polish to move into that real top tier. I think this is the same with Vegas. Are they good? Yeah, sure. Do they need to improve in a lot of ways? And have they maybe gotten a little bit lucky against some teams that they should have lost to? Yeah, sure. 9-7, 10-6, maybe. I don't see this Vegas team as anyone that's going to make any noise in the playoffs.
That's still an absolute win if you win 9 games this year.
No, it's a win. But I'm saying there's nothing about this Las Vegas team that's stop everything. Watch out, Kansas City.
Yeah.
No.
Literally watch out no AFC teams. It's a super crowded AFC, so they
beat someone in the wild card. I mean, look, I think they've probably outperformed a little bit. I don't know what their their preseason predictions look like personally.
It's probably 6 wins. I had them winning 4 or 5 games, I think.
I don't remember what I thought about them preseason, but they're good. And that's all I got on them.
Yeah. Houston and Cleveland winning a stinker of a game. Again, just terrible weather. Cleveland wins 10-7. They beat the 2-win team by 3 points. Dick Chubb back. Obviously, he hates betting because everyone saw that play where he ran out of bounds.
Hysterical.
Hilarious. Obviously, the right play.
Half too, wasn't it? Or 3.5? Wasn't it Browns minus 3.5?
It was minus 3.5, and then it turned into 4. Either way, they missed it because Nick Chubb ran out of bounds.
That's so funny.
But that's the right call. And it's so funny just thinking about that Todd Gurley one there because Nick Chubb is 24, and he had the mindset to, and he should have gone down. He shouldn't have gone out of bounds. And he admitted that after.
Gurley or Chubb?
Chubb.
He absolutely should have gone out of bounds. That was the right play.
No. Or he should have gone down. Should have gone down there. Or taking a knee is what I'm saying. Yeah, I know. Doesn't make a huge difference. But his complaint was that he didn't just go down, right? Todd Gurley fell into the end zone. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
it's really hard.
I'm worried if I'm Cleveland.
Yeah.
I'm worried if I'm Cleveland. You should have smoked Houston. Like Cleveland's whole strength of their team was supposed to be the running game.
And the worst part about Houston is their run defense.
And if you can't get the ball running against Houston in a day where you should be running the ball because it's a miserable day weather-wise out, that's concerning. Like you beat Cleveland or you beat Cincy and Houston by a combined 6 points. The Browns, like according to Browns insider Joshua Hayden, the Browns should have been smoking these teams. And I don't think he's, as much as our friend Josh likes to maybe overhype the Browns a touch, I think he's right in that the Browns should have beaten those teams by a lot more than 6 points combined.
They should have been like double-digit wins if they wanted to prove that they are, they can make some noise.
Exactly. If the Browns want to say they're a good team in the NFL, you have to beat terrible teams like the Texans and the Bengals.
I just find it really interesting. The Browns have just gotten a lot of flack the last couple of years because they haven't been able to figure.
Years?
Let me finish my point. God damn it. They've gotten flack the last couple of years because they haven't quite used OBJ to the best of his abilities. And this is a term we use a lot more in basketball. It's, gravity. How much gravity does a player have? When you have OBJ out there, it clears up a lot of other things in the passing game. All of a sudden, Jarvis Landry's your number one receiver.
Not good.
You don't want that. You don't.
For 3-4 years, you're happy with it.
Yeah,
but not
he's
anymore.
A good receiver, but you don't want him being your nose.
Strat blowing up the hearts on the live stream. I love it. I love it.
Last two games, Jacksonville gives Green Bay a scare. Green Bay only won by 4.
Gives them you take that 90-yard. Look, punt returns count just as much as any other touchdown count.
That was terrible coverage.
A 90-yard punt return for a dude who hadn't been returning kicks until 2 weeks ago. That's the type of fluke play where you're similar to what we said about Brady and the Bucs getting stomped by New Orleans. That's the type of thing where you're just like, shit, we gave up a 90-yard punt return touchdown to a dude who just started returning kicks 2 weeks ago. Like
in my survivor pool, 2 lives, I'm down to 1 life. I picked Green Bay this week.
Wow.
I was sweating. I had the Colts. I had the Colts a couple of weeks ago when they came back against the Bengals. I had the Saints when they came back against the Panthers that one week. I've been sweating the last couple of weeks, but I have Steelers and Jags, knock on wood, should not be sweating this up.
What's on the line for the survivor pool?
What?
What's on the line?
It's $20 each, and I think there were 15 participants. Winner takes all.
Pretty solid.
I'll take it. Last game, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. We really wanted to see what Joe Burrow would do. They never.
I was actually very obviously the person to me who pretends to know a thing or two about the NFL knew this was going to be a blowout game. Yeah. The fan in me and the guy who likes watching young quarterbacks was like, I don't know, maybe Joe Burrow can make something happen.
Find some magic, yeah.
I don't know. And then the Steelers are 9-0, best team in the league.
Well, tell me what you think
Joe
about
Burrow
this.
Looked like a rookie.
Tell me what you think about this, because this is a really interesting point I heard on the PFF podcast. The reason they were more excited for this game than, say, the Bengals-Ravens game earlier, which we know how that ended, was the fact that not only are the Ravens really good on defense, but they have so many unique pieces. They throw so many weird looks at you that it's like Joe Burrow looked bad in that game, and he was also so confused. He had no idea what to do.
He's never seen a defense that complex in his life.
Week 3, I think. Now it's week 9. He's seen a decent amount of defenses. He's getting used to it. And this is a Pittsburgh team that, they have players like Minka Fitzpatrick, and they have absolute game wreckers on the defensive line, but they're just going to blitz the shit out of you, right?
Highest rate in the league, right? Are they still the highest rate in the league? Or
I think so.
It might have changed after this week. Who knows? But
it didn't matter. Big Ben just picked apart the Bengals defense too. 27-46, 333 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. I still think Big Ben is probably a little better than Phillip Rivers, ? But they're in the same category.
Same
right?
Tier, yeah.
They're the same tier as you hope they don't have to win games for you, but they're still good enough that if you can keep the pocket clean for them and they have enough talent that they can pick you apart. Obviously, the Steelers are still a better team.
Last point on Joe Burrow here. The smallest part of me feels bad for him because look at the last 2 MVPs in this league, Lamar and then Patrick Mahomes. Neither one of them, they both won MVP in their second season in the league.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow better get his shit together. You better have an MVP next season, though.
It's like Joe Burrow has won the MVP for the Cincinnati Bengals, who won their 4th game in the last week of the season.
Obviously,
he threw for 8,000 yards.
I don't want to say obviously he's not going to win MVP next year, but I mean, Joe Burrow looks every bit the part of a guy who deserves to go number 1 overall. Is kind of what I'm saying.
There's a silver line. I mean, look, we talked about it before the season. Best case scenario for the Bengals, Joe Burrow shows a lot of promise, and they're really bad, and they get a good pick. Like that's really the crux of it. We got no mailbag questions, which is cool.
Well, are we not getting into our bets?
Oh, right.
Tonight?
Sorry. No, we didn't have anyone going. We can just run through what our bets were. Rough week for me. I ended up not taking the Browns -3.5 in the video I had tweeted out at the end. Who did I take? I had Seattle +1.5. Obviously, that didn't work out. Pittsburgh -7. That was an easy cash. And then the last one was Miami. It was the Buffalo.
No, I had Miami.
With you. Yeah, I had Buffalo +2.
And we fucking pushed.
That was a push. So we're just going to
lose. I would literally rather lose.
We're not going to count that in our records, but
it'll be a little asterisk. We pushed.
Ben missed on Baltimore -7.
A lot of people. I actually saw something. It was the most bet on spread that week.
Really?
Past week. Yeah.
Because I got a Bleacher Report notification that I think Seattle received like 90% of the bets at +1.5.
I thought I saw that was Baltimore from William Hill.
Either way, neither of them worked. So
either way, people lost a lot of money.
You hit on Miami.
Hit on Miami, and I literally might bet that Kyler parlay the rest of the season.
Yeah,
Kyler
should
over
be like
rushing yards and anytime touchdown. Take that.
Power rankings. We're gonna wait until Thursday. Go check out our Twitter and our Instagram because we have our schedule for the rest of the week. But just in case you didn't see it, this episode is going to be up in a little bit on Spotify, Anchor, Google Pods, Apple Pods, and of course Breaker. We're going to be on YouTube as well.
I hope the executives at Breaker somehow
they're like, oh my God, yes.
Sign an exclusive deal with Breaker. I'm there.
This podcast that gets like 15 listeners an episode.
Let's make it 20. Let's make it 20.
Facts. Tomorrow we're gonna have the editor-in-chief, the site expert for Air Alamo, a site that I write for, San Antonio Spurs site. He's been doing a lot of draft stuff. Ethan Farina is going to join us. Complete draft breakdown, who each team should take. He just had a new mock draft go out. You should check that out. We'll tweet out a link and we'll link to his site. And then on Thursday, we're going to talk about everything with the NFL, kind of what's been going on in the NBA with the draft. And also
hasn't been much going on in the NBA today. Kind of slow week for basketball.
I mean, kind of like how we kind of hinted at before, James Harden probably wants out at this point. DeMar DeRozan picked up his option, which is not huge outside of San Antonio, but it could be big because it's on an expiring and other things like that. Ben, you got anything else? Oh, besides, I feel we should give some love. D3 had a game this week.
I was literally I was wondering where you were going with that.
It was a fun game. And also Cortico was awesome to see.
Nice. That was clever.
What?
I thought you were talking about Cortico the whole time, not
no.
Martian Marine.
I was talking about the actual D3 game that got played this week.
Let's talk about the one that actually mattered, though. Sorry, Frank.
Cortico. I thought that was awesome. They got a lot of awesome alumni to fill in for our calls, which was funny to poke fun at Ben for.
That was brutal.
They really just
that was so bad.
I thought it was cool though.
It was cool, but do it in reverse order. I don't want to name names for some of the alumni that maybe I wouldn't have chosen to put in the broadcast. Bruce Beck makes all the sense in the world. Ed Cohen makes perfect sense. I'm just saying.
Hey, come on. Shout out Jake Asman. Come on.
Jake Asman makes perfect sense.
He's called, and Brendan Burke. They've called games before. And I think Mia O'Brien worked on Bombers for a little bit.
Did she?
I think she, I'm like 99% sure she did some sort of football stuff while she was there. I mean, it makes sense. She covers an NFL team. Honestly, even if she did, I'm fine with that. I thought I was texting Jake a little bit because I think he had a show while it was going on. But it was funny how it was just like, call going, like the game, blah, 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 going along. And then it's just like, hi, I'm Jake Asman. I was really drunk watching the game last year, and here we are in the middle of the play. Let me call it.
It was it's a really cool. I was talking with John Vicari about this. It was a really cool idea to bring like the alumni in to do the call, like the calls of the big moments. So poorly executed. Yeah, like you don't introduce the.
I thought it was still cool though.
cool, but poorly executed. Like you don't introduce the alumni. You don't like, but also like, that's not, you and I can both attest to this. That's not how play-by-play works. Like having someone write out a call and then read it over a video is not quite the same.
Yeah. I thought, you know, at the end of the day,
I'm also more than a little bit salty that they,
you're very salty. Calls. I'm not salty because the way it worked out, it was literally like they filled in the play-by-play and then went right into color commentary.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great, you know.
It was definitely a little weird at first watching like a replay of a game that like we worked on. It was like our voices. But once I kind of got settled into like, I think it was once I got past like, because I mean, obviously I've listened to the entirety of the Cortica audio, I don't know, 4 times over at this point, 5 times over. Like I've listened to every goddamn snap of that game. And normally I'm listening to it like trying to work and like figure out what I want to put on my reel. It was nice to just watch it as a game instead of trying to like analyze it and like think about like how I'm never going to get a job.
Yeah, true. Well, you want to know something from me? I've never called a game on TV before.
Neither did I.
Well, you've done color commentary, at least for basketball.
Never done play-by-play, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just watching it and I was like, wow, I've never actually gotten to experience this before. This is pretty cool.
Pretty crazy, man.
It's pretty dope. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
So shout out to all of Ithaca and
Roll bombs
for getting that. Yeah, of course. Always SCO bombs.
bombs.
Ben, you got anything else?
Nope.
All righty, cool. He's been Carlton and Matias Weilmann. We will catch you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. We will be live and that episode will be posted. Thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you soon.